Did I start? I did. Okay.
Yep, you did.
Up is down, left is right. Is the symbol up here good? Like I gotta edit it anyways at this point.
Man, why would you edit it? It's bloody perfect, mate.
Is Dresden too big up here for you?
No, Dresden's good.
Nathan's got Dresden on his shoulder.
No, he looks pretty
Well,
sharp.
Yeah, he's a sharp-looking guy up there.
it's about 120% of Nathan's head, but if you include the beard, we're looking at about a 1-to-1 ratio. I'd say
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
It's about as big as his head. Yeah, there you go. That's a big ass Dresden. Hey, we're here. We're here to talk about Full Moon, Book 2 of the Dresden Files. We're going to be going over all of these one by one, ending and watching the Dresden TV show that only lived for a season. We're going to have some, I guess, fun with that when we get there. But until then, we will be enjoying the books because all of these books are amazing. And we're just going to have some fun talking about it, especially since some other things are happening that are depressing. So we're not going to talk about those. We're going to talk about Full Moon, which was book 2 in the Dresden Files series. I guess real quick, brief overview of my feelings, especially going from book 1. I actually, not that I thought Full Moon was bad by any means, but I think I liked Stormfront better in parts. The jail scene was extremely good with the Luke-Guru. The conclusion was really good. But overall, I feel like maybe the pacing in Stormfront was a little bit better, maybe. And I did at points find, well, basically one point, Karen Murphy to be a little tad bit annoying. But yeah, Nate, where are you at with Full Moon? Your overall thoughts?
Yeah, Full Moon, I wasn't able to really kind of pin down why. I thought it was kind of like a slight step down. I mean, a very, very minor sophomore slump of a book, but nothing to where it kept me from sitting there saying that this book is still really good.
Yeah.
I know that it picks up tons from here, because I remember book 3 being a banger, but this one is I think it takes a bit to really kind of kick into gear, even though it's engaging in the beginning.
Yeah.
Once you hit the police station, and then through to the end, then everything's kind of fine. It finds its rhythm and really slams hard. But until you get to that point, so it's about the first couple hundred pages of the book, you're kind of like, okay, I'm kind of chugging along, but not quite. No. So I think that's kind of where I landed on it, but it's still good. But not quite as good as Stormfront.
Now then, where do you think? What are you thinking?
I'm about the same place as you boys. It was interesting reading this again upon a reread. Again, a reread. I can't, even though it was just last week, like compared to Stormfront when we did the Stormfront podcast, like I can't really remember it anywhere near as well in my mind, like the things that happen. And I think that's sort of indicative of how good the book is. It's not it's not as good. I think it's not as good as Stormfront either. And I think that with the pacing, what you said, Steve, I think it's mostly that the pacing was just a little bit off. But no, still a great book. Like whatever, it's always good. It's always good being in Dresden's head, because I love Dresden so much. He's just the best dude. He puts himself in the most ridiculous situations for the best possible reasons, and I love that. And this book's no different, like Dresden, you get the same thing. Dresden being stupid, doing stupid Dresden things because he's just a good fella. And the more of that, the better. And so it's I'm not sure. We'll get to ratings later on, but it's not as strong as Stormfront, I don't think. As a book.
Yeah, I think it's more like just it's building a story. I guess it's a little bit different because it's building a storyline. But whereas in Stormfront, you're sort of trying to figure out who Dresden is. You already have an idea who he is, and it's sort of trying to build those I guess we're back to sort of dueling storylines in this, right? Because you have the whole McFinn thing, and then you have the
FBI.
the territory, and the territory that's being bought from that McCone's trying to buy, and the other people are trying to buy, and
Yep.
they're not sure for what reasons. The FBI aspect is in there. You have and then so basically it starts with you have another really bad crime scene.
Yeah. So
Harry,
it's another case.
After not talking to Murphy for several months, was it? I think several months.
Yeah, he said a while. I think he goes
Yeah.
on some kind of side mission too here, like between.
Yeah,
bits,
he
I
went
think.
to see something like a lake. He like went to go check out a lake monster or something, right? Wasn't that
which is in the side jobs book, like that story, which is another cool thing that Jim did, right? He put all these little time gaps that you have in Dresden. Like there's always a time gap, and there's some little event that's happened that's just like mentioned really briefly. And the story for that event is inside jobs. So if you want to read that, go and do it.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
I'll need to.
Yeah.
But those books, that book sucks though, just so we're aware, compared to the rest.
So we start. Murphy reaches. Murphy and him end up together. He's at the crime scene where he is discovers just a horrible just event has taken place. People basically torn to pieces, right? And it's a sickening enough. It's another just disgusting crime scene, if I remember right, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, but it starts off actually. He's meeting with Kim Delaney at McNally's.
Oh, that's right. I totally See, that's So his apprentice, sort of apprentice, or another young, I guess witch. Witch. They do differentiate witch and wizard, right?
They call them witches.
Yeah. So a witch that's learning the trade, and she's basically bribing him with food to teach him to teach her how to do something. And that's exactly okay. So thank you for refreshing my memory. So the crime scene, he recognizes that it was her, and that some of the spells that she was trying to do, that he didn't tell her fully how to do. So he feels like it's his fault. Whatever she was trying to accomplish, he held back. So he immediately takes responsibility for her death in his heart of hearts, right?
Which is
am I remembering that right? Yeah,
you remember that correctly.
Well, and he warned her, like she. I'm sorry, but like she got in over her head. I feel like it's one of those things. Like if she told him what was going on, he probably would have just helped her.
He would have fixed it immediately. We would have never had this book.
He could have been a teachable moment. He could have just taken her with him and said, "This is how you do this, right?" or something, right?
Yeah.
So, So I forgot that. So he immediately is basically in because somebody close to him has died, and he's taking responsibility for it, even though I don't think he's directly. I think maybe indirectly, but not really.
Yeah,
it's pretty much on her. She decided to go in with half the weapons she needed instead of
right.
Well, and from her perspective,
she pot committed to McFinn well before she knew what she was doing, and even though like her death doesn't happen for another 100 or so pages, it's it's kind of interesting how he opens up with this kind of innocuous thing, and then all of a sudden it's it wraps around like there's not a wasted scene.
There's not, and there's a couple of things that happen between that, and then when Kim not being able to do the thing properly creates a problem with McFinn, right? Like there's other murders that happen between there that Harry and the police department are investigating.
By the way, we're going. I guess we're going straight spoilers because why not? Sorry, go ahead.
Spoilers, yeah.
Sorry, Steve, I didn't even think.
We need to get a banner, mate. The people they put these banners or some shit.
I can
spoilers.
I can.
That's right. We did do this. We did do a non-spoiler section last time, and then went.
I think we did, but we're just getting into it this time. I think it's a little different now that we're getting into future books because I mean, just do it. I don't know. We'll
You coming to watch the friggin'
we'll
full
do it a
moon.
case by case basis. This one we're just going for it. There you go.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
We can say this like confidently that like you should read every single Dresden book forever. So if you haven't done that, don't watch this. All right, come back and watch it after you've done that because we will be spoiling the book. Only the first 2 books though. So that's so only from Stormfront and Full Moon.
Yes, for now. So there you go. Spoilers for Full Moon. There you go. That'll work for now. So sorry, where were we? So he discovered. So he's brought into the murder. Murphy. I think doesn't Murphy just know he's sort of holding out on her a little bit.
Immediately, yeah. She's a cut.
Yeah.
She's a not
well. It's like so we can talk about that. Murphy just sort of like I get. And again, I think this is partially because I know how the relationship gets later, and I'm just ready for it to be there. But Murphy is still uber confrontational with him, completely doesn't trust him, which I'm not saying is completely her fault. He's giving her half truths, but I mean, you know,
not just that, but like she should be. She's a police officer working on like a really weird, like, you know, stuff trying to protect the public. She should be suspect on the wizard dude who just happens to be connected to all these like weird things that are going on where people are dying. That's part of her job.
So I think she's a bit annoying, but I think she sort of has to be.
Yes.
For what she said, right? It's one of those. Yeah.
It's very realistic.
And she's currently under investigation by Internal Affairs.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, there's this whole like, it's not without its purpose. You know, you want her at a couple times in this book to just tell her to shut the fuck up, or be like, have Harry be like, okay, say what you need to say first before you say this paragraph.
Yep.
But again, nothing without purpose, right? So I mean, it's.
Or just tell her, tell her what she needs to know. Stop babying her, right? Which he doesn't really get over ever. Well, maybe later. It takes him a long time to actually fully.
Which is also that's also realistic, right? Like that's also
she's trying
realistic.
to protect her, right? I mean, she's trying to protect. There's she knows there's bad stuff in there, but she only knows about scratching the surface. And even if he included, like, told her about the werewolves, she'd still only be scratching the surface. There's really bad stuff out there, and so he's still, you know, protecting her because, you know, he cares for her. And, you know, you do find out that, you know, even though sort of giving the cold shoulder a little bit, she's also protecting him at the same time. So it's one of those, you know, Harry thought that you know, she was mad at him, and it turns out that not really. He was, you know, she was under investigation. That's where we find out she's under investigation, right? What potions did Bob make in this one? I love how there's always a potion moment,
like a sort of invisibility potion. It kind of
the bland potion that was really cool.
Yeah,
the
bland just makes him like a gray man. Basically,
that's how he gets. Yeah, that's how he gets into the prison, right? So it's two of them, isn't it? It makes the bland potion and. What's the other one?
I think he makes 2 of those.
Is it 2 of those?
I think.
You might. I don't quite be mistaken. It might be, but it So like, I don't want to jump there. Somewhere in here we meet. Is this? So I'm trying to think order of operations here. So
that's what I mean.
He immediately, like, they agree to be totally open with each other, and he has some of the blood from the crime scene, and immediately then goes off.
Exactly. He tells her, "I'm not going to make a move without you." What's the first thing he does? He makes a move without her, and goes goes to the warehouse, folling the blood from the werewolf.
Exactly, because he got the blood from the glass or whatever, but he can't just go around doing magic in front of Murph at this stage as well. So like he's like a rock in a hard place. He's like, I have to help her, but I can't tell the thing. I can't tell her how I'm going to help her, but I have to do this. So like, how do I keep my promise? It's a great dilemma. It's a great moral dilemma.
Yeah, because he is trying to help. He's still in this. You know, he knows Murphy's a big girl and she could take care of herself, but Can Murphy fight a werewolf? Not really.
No one
Right.
can from his perspective. Like he's like, I
Yeah.
can't fight it. She's got no chance.
And that's kind of one of those things where I think in between all of this, you had a scene with him and Bob, and he starts, or no, it's after this, where when Bob tells him about all the different kinds of werewolves and stuff.
Yeah,
but what's
cool
interesting though is that he uses the blood to find the girl's trail to take him to the warehouse. But Murphy noticed that she was trailing them in the car. So after she dropped Dresden off, she then trails that car. So it's a good way
that was extremely
people
cool.
Can still
they ended up in the same place by accident.
But not by accident. They ended up in the same. They ended up in the same place for the same reason, like because they're both following the same trail independently. So they end up in the same place with their own motivations and their own processes. For the same reason, because Murphy notices Tara in the bloody mirror or whatever when he's on the way to the pub, whereas Dresden uses his magic to like follow the blood back to
I don't know why I said by mistake. It was definitely purposefully, right? And this is where we meet Tara, right? Tara is still so Tara. Let's talk about Tara for a minute because this is really Tara's only appearance in the Dresden Files, right?
Yeah.
So she is a wolf that's turned into a human. Is that correct?
Yes.
She's a wolf. Don't find that out until the end.
She's like a fairy. She's from the Never Never, I would assume.
No.
She's just
no. I don't think so.
Well,
someone can maybe
the only reason I say that is because I was looking up some stuff and it says that she's referenced in Summer Night. Where is she? Oh my god! Why does this suck? Sorry, I'm looking at. Hold on, let me bring it back up.
So if she from the book, she leaves and goes to the northwest, up to the mountains.
So she is a Lupin Terramorph, is what they classify her as.
So she's a wolf.
Summer Night. Summer Night. Joseph listens to Wind, informs Dresden that West sends him her respects. So Joseph listens to Wind. So that doesn't mean she's from the Never Never. That just means that
this book,
animal spirit, right? So listens to Wind is awesome. By the way, when you get there, I love that.
One of the best characters.
Him yet.
Oh, he's great. Oh, he's great.
Which book are you up to, Nathan?
As soon as the rental comes through, I'm getting into Small Favors.
Okay, all right.
Joseph listens to Wind is like primo.
One of the best.
Love him.
One of the best. And you're about to meet him, by the way.
Yeah,
and there's no in this book anyway. Like there's no way to misinterpret what she says. Like at the end of the book, like from her perspective. She is a wolf that's learned how to shapeshift into a human. That's
right. Yeah, and that's what I thought, but then I saw the Summer Night thing, and so so that was my understanding. So which is interesting, which I thought was very cool.
It is very cool.
And then go ahead. Sorry, go Nate.
And the great thing about her introduction though is he tries to soul gaze her and can't.
That's right.
And reaches a fucking scary conclusion that she's not human.
Well, and he thought, he thought,
what am I dealing with here?
Fairy or something, or demon? She has no fucking clue.
Yeah,
which is sort of interesting because I guess wolves don't have souls.
Well, they're not humans.
What's your problem? Wolves don't have souls.
Hopper, nope, they don't.
Okay. Are you a wolfist?
Hopper would be so upset with you.
I'm a wolfist until they turn into a hot naked chick.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yes, that's all she doesn't care about. Yeah.
And how good's that? Tara, great. Her distraction scene where she like gets naked and dances to distract the cops. So Harry
she's like, do you like how I look, Dresden? And Susan's just like, hey, Punchy, what's your problem? Don't look at that bitch. It was nice. Susan was great.
It's funny.
Susan was great.
She was great. It's funny because like it's one of the criticisms that this book seems to get from a lot of different people is that this is like, this like objectifying women in this way is like really bad and really wrong. And all this sort of, yap, blah, 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 whatever. But it's
Look.
like, it's super perfect for that moment. Not only is it super perfect, it's fucking, it's exactly correct and true. Like,
Well, it's
if
based
some,
on
like,
reality, right? If you
dude,
see a beautiful woman, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, okay? If I see a dude running around, I'm gonna look too, be like, what the fuck is going on there? Why is that dude naked? And not right? Like, if you see a beautiful woman and just stripping naked and just like, you're gonna look.
not just stripping naked,
and
but like dancing
Dancing,
around
yes,
in the
yes.
rain and the
in the
moonlight.
rain, yeah.
Darty, fucking
And
dark.
guess what? It was the perfect distraction. How about that? It was all for. She knew it
Can
would
you-
work.
Well,
She knew it would work because she knows human nature. So she played
Yeah.
on human nature to fucking get a distraction. Mission
Which-
accomplished. Like,
Which again
So-
speaks to the fact that she's a wolf that has like been able to transform into a human, and in order to do that, there has to be like a connection there with an understanding of the nature of what
Yeah.
drives animal
Well,
instinct within the human, and that's part of it.
yeah, and then that's where I look at like the criticisms where Harry comes off as a chauvinist. I'm like, no, Harry's just a dude, and it's
He's a
told from a first person perspective of that dude. So if you were going to write a story that comes from the first person perspective of a woman, then you would probably see a lot more objectification of the male form, and that's fine. It just is what it is. I don't have a problem with the way that this is being told.
no.
I don't only not have a problem with it. I loved it. I thought it
love
was
it.
perfect. Yeah, I thought it was perfect.
It was fantastic.
literally
I can picture it
perfect,
I'm
yeah.
like, just Dresden almost doesn't get off and do what he needs to do because he's busy looking at Tara going, what the fuck is she doing? Right?
Which is
So it's
legitimately
great.
fair. Like we crash cars looking at chicks.
Yeah,
That's what
Susan,
that happens.
Susan's sitting there giving him the stink eye. Dresden's okay, right? So okay, we'll get back to that. But so he follows. This is where we meet the street wolves, right? And
Yeah,
Oh, the
not meat, but we
well,
get
but sort
introduced
of
to them in a
he's
way.
snooping around, and Tara actually goes after him, doesn't she?
Yeah,
doesn't the cop? Which street was which? Are we talking about?
So we're not talking. We're talking about the first. We're talking about Tara Street, the Alphas, basically.
the
This is
Alphas,
where
yeah.
we meet the Alphas, and then that's when he gets. So after meeting them and it's sort of going bad, we find out about another group called what is it? I guess. Oh, I should have said Street Wolves. So we later find out the Terra West group of werewolves are called the Alphas, which are very prevalent throughout the series. The Alphas are very cool.
Yeah, and he follows her blood scent back to where she's been teaching these like budding pack of werewolves, and they're actually okay.
They're good. They're actually good people trying to do stuff for the right. They want power to help, right? So what you find out, the Alphas are good dudes.
Really, bro.
Well, which is awesome because Dresden basically becomes their alpha, at least for the time being. Which I love that all of a sudden, and I love. Sorry, not just jump to the end of the book, but I love the fact that he ends up like going to D&D parties and camping and playing games with them. And Dresden's like, I don't know why I went, but I did. It's like, we know why you went. Come on,
we know why you went.
You know why you went.
You described Naked Georgia. We know exactly why you went.
Of course, right? Exactly. So, so let's see. So we end up back at the police station, I think, where this is where one of the FBI guys gives him a tip on.
Yep, the redhead
lycanthropes, right?
The redhead with the big hairs, big ears. What's his name?
Right. What's his name?
That bloke.
Harris.
Harris, yeah, Officer Harris. Oh, look at that.
Right. Once see this, and that's why, like, so talking it back, and I see exactly what you're saying was said at the beginning, Aldan, because I'm like you. I just finished it. I'm having a little bit more trouble piecing it together than I did Stormfront.
Yeah.
But as we're going, so you have Harris, who gave him the tip and said, "Hey, Denton, who is the lead FBI guy, wanted me to give you this tip. There's some guys they're called the Street Wolves. It's a gang. You should go check them out, right?"
Yeah.
Now we come to find out. Now this is where I got a little confused. How how are the lycanthropes, the street wolves, Parker's group related to Denton, or are they not? Is it just
They're
another
not.
They're not.
completely random group?
They're not.
They're just
They're,
random
yeah,
group.
they're this is there was a scene between this where he goes and talks with Bob, and he gives him all the info
Right.
dump about all the different
On
wolves.
all the different,
Talks about the inherited silver requirement for the Lugaroos.
which is so
Right.
cool, by the way. Like all the different types of werewolves, and like the butcher just.
Mhm.
I'm not just gonna have
And-
werewolves. I'm gonna have like multiple different types. Very cool.
And that it's not just some generic thing that was like, silver and fucking holy water. It's like, well, that's all. Bob's like, oh, that's all bullshit. And then he gets to the one, and he's like, well, actually, it's not bullshit for that one. That one is true, right? Which makes it cool because it's like we're making myth into fact, right? It's just like it's not like
Right.
And it blurs the edges, right? It makes it more.
It's fact for one breed of werewolf, but not. It doesn't blanket all of it. I find that stuff when he does that stuff, like all the vampires, how there's different ones that feed on different things, right? The glamour and all that, right? We just equate that to all vampires, but it has to be a super, obviously head. So there's different werewolves, so you have to kill them in different ways. It's not just all. Right. So I thought that's very, very cool. But in our myths, they're all clumped together. I thought that was really cool.
It is. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It makes that like the believability or whatever, like the immersion in the world. It makes it just that little bit better. Where you're like, I identify with this, but it's different, and then I identify with this, but it's different. Like I know this thing, but it's not the way that I expected. It's so clever. It's clever writing, and like massive hats off to Butcher for doing it like that, because he makes a very unrealistic, crazy thing seem completely believable, just like that, just with a very simple, with very simple layers, like the different werewolves.
It's really cool. This again, this is where I got a little confused. So maybe you guys could shed some light, and if anybody listening along, where do the street wolves? So you have the alphas, which is the good werewolves. You have the street wolves from Full Moon Garage, which are like just like the middle group, and then you have Hexen wolves, which turns out to be spoilers, the FBI agents, and then you have the Lucaroo, who's just an ancient werewolf from an ancient line of werewolves.
Yeah, he's the real.
Where does Parker's
that are cursed?
Right. So where does Parker's group fit in here? The street wolves.
Are
they just a gang and they just have to be werewolves?
I think they're just a gang.
So,
and did he need to deal with Johnny Marconi to kill Dresden or capture him?
Yeah.
And that's independent of Denton, correct?
Independent of Denton.
Yes. But Denton is using.
So wait. So is that
all
what
of
happened?
them?
Marconi knows that he's Finn is after him, so he hires the street wolves to protect him. Is that what? Am I remembering that right?
I'm not sure about that.
Or was it just for a hit on Dresden?
Marconi's trying to hire Dresden.
Well, but he refuses him, so doesn't he hire the street wolves?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, well, let's see. So, in my notes,
I should start taking notes for these.
Well, I've got 5 pages.
Okay, well, there you go. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice did the homework. Well done.
Thank you.
The question is, can I read my writing?
Carried
away. After the station, he goes to the car shop place that Harris took off. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. He's got all these lycanthrope werewolves just like hanging out in the mechanic shop sleeping.
Right.
Yeah, it was so it was a little, like that. That was one of the things with this book for like I appreciate getting the list of werewolves and all that stuff, but I found it sort of weird that there's just a group of werewolves hanging out in a garage, and they got involved in the story just at random because it's werewolf book.
It was a little bit confusing,
right? And I got confused. I thought they were for a while. Like I thought they were related to. Like I thought they were an offshoot that Denton was controlling. But they're completely independent, which was sort of like interesting. We have 2 independent groups of werewolves operating in Chicago, was a little
Right.
bit
Well,
weird.
I was molding them and the alphas together early
Yeah,
on in the
yeah.
book,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
and
to
then
interrupt you. Yeah.
and then Parker comes out and stops the street wolves from chasing after Harry, and then Harry soul gazes them,
Yeah.
and it freaking throws Harry for an absolute loop with all the evil
Yeah.
that he sees in that soul gaze.
So and it's
Um,
like the alphas and basically those guys are at odds, right?
yeah, I'm not sure that they know of.
Do they
Not
even
even
Well,
they don't even know
do
of
they
each
know
other.
of each other?
so that
Yeah.
I found to be a little bit all of a sudden there's just werewolves all over Chicago. It's
Right.
like I
There,
mean,
I
I
know.
know it's
there is a
high
bit too
you know.
much going on at this point. I think maybe that's where the pacing kind of
Maybe. Because I got a little
pick up
cross
a
with
little.
Parker's group. I mean, I liked some of the stuff that happened with Flatnose, and you're getting the idea of how even a werewolf pack is the same as a wolf pack. You got the alpha. If he's showing any weakness, somebody's gonna, try and take it over. And you see Flatnose
Right.
trying to take over the street wolves, and Parker's having none of it. So
our like
I just want to make sure I wasn't alone because I felt I started getting a little
No.
lost with where all the werewolf packs were.
no, it seemed a bit weird. It did seem a bit weird that we just have these like all of a sudden out of nowhere we've got werewolves everywhere and no one's noticed, or we've got these people that act like act like wolves.
Right.
We
Well,
should define this, right? So we've got lycanthropes. So lycanthropes are like human beings that like have animalistic intent, right? They don't turn into wolves. They're just human beings that like they get this,
They act like wolves. Yeah.
they act like wolves, yeah, correct. And they get super strong and super animalistic and all that sort of stuff, and super regeneration, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Then we have what's our next category? Our next category is like Billy and the Alphas, right? So
Yeah. So they're just what are they classified as?
well, they're werewolves. They're
Yeah.
werewolves, but in the world of Dresden, our werewolves aren't. Our werewolves are basically they use magic to do this, like same as Harry, but they've got one spell, and that one spell is how to turn themselves into werewolf, and it's super duper strong, and they're super duper good at it.
Right.
So we never really get an explanation as to why this just group of teenage kids in Chicago just happen to have this amazing skill for this one spell that turns them into werewolves. But that's just what it is. So that is what it is as well. So all these things contribute to like how it just sort of feels like bang, just like it's all just there all of a sudden. It doesn't make sense, I think.
Hold on.
And then
I felt like the alpha. There was an explanation how Tara found the alphas. I'm gonna have to look that up. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I
she did. I can't remember what.
They
What
were taught to
exactly?
shapeshift into being wolf form by Tara, which
yeah,
but
again, it's a like so they would have to have the affinity for this beforehand, right? Like Harry has an affinity for magic, therefore he can train his magic to get better at magic. So these werewolves, that Billy and the Alphas, must have had an affinity for magic for this specific magic of werewolfism. Therefore, they could be trained to be better werewolf magic users, which is different than the Hexen wolves, the FBI agents that get these magic belts given to them by some random person that we never know, that like activates the same spell effectively and turns them into werewolves. So like it's outside of them rather than being internal. So like it's an external influence with this belt rather than like you have the Billy and the others have the internal capacity to do this magic by themselves, whereas they've got to put it on in order to do it. And it's more like a drug. It's a very different thing. Like the Hexen wolves is more like they're like meth addicts for wolf abilities.
highly addictive.
Yeah.
You actually see that almost immediately with is it Ben?
Yeah, Agent Ben. She's a crazy bitch.
She's just trying to hump Denton from the get and kill people immediately. It's like Jesus Christ, man.
Straight out of the gate.
Yeah, you're like,
literally,
what is going on with this chick?
Isn't it? It's the first first interaction with Harry.
She's ready to shoot somebody. She's reaching for the belt immediately. Like when in hindsight, she's reaching for that belt immediately, right? So and then you have the Luke Guru, which is McFinn, which is basically the
OG werewolf.
Yeah, the OG werewolf, right? Who happens to be Tara West's fiance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just interesting.
Yeah. So the wolf that turned into a human found the human that's cursed to become a wolf on the full moon and fell in love with him. We don't know when this happened, but it's sometime they could be thousands of years old. We don't know.
Yep. Yeah,
I
who
don't
knows,
think
right? So
we know that it's very, very old anyway. I don't think we know exactly how far, but we know they've been around for a while. And he's been covering this and like taking precautions for a very long time.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's why Kim Delaney was involved to try and keep him from make a circle, because you find out that his circle was broken by somebody, and he was let loose on the world again and in werewolf form. But I think I'm skipping ahead there. So,
Well, we don't ever find out how they found out. Like we know that the FBI guys did this, right? They broke Finn's circle. So somehow they found it. Somehow the FBI guys, Denton and his fuckwits, somehow they got the belts from somewhere that we don't know.
Yep.
They found out that McFinn was in the region and possibly
a werewolf.
And a werewolf, and was a good cover for them to do the things that they wanted to do by setting him free.
Well, and he was their secondary cover, because initially they were going to pin it all on the alphas,
right?
And then when they found out about McFinn, they said, okay, we can use that too, so that they can.
Yeah, that's why the whole Parker's lycanthropes sort of threw me, because you got a purpose for the alphas, you got a purpose for the X symbols, you got a purpose for the Lucaru. Where do the Full Moon Garage guys come in? Like, it's like that's why I thought they were related to the alpha, but obviously not. So we don't got to get bogged down on that anymore. It was a little bit odd. For me, anyways, a little confusing.
Yeah,
but,
I think that's just part of Marcone's, potential assets.
Right. Yeah, well, that's what it ends up, right? He basically he pays them off to capture Dresden, and So, let's see. There is before we move on, there is that scene where Dresden summons the demon.
Yep, I was about to mention that one.
Okay, yeah. So go ahead.
Chagarath or whatever.
Yeah,
Chauncey.
Chauncey, yeah.
Chauncey,
Chag Xanaroth or something like that.
Weird.
Which I thought was a really cool scene, because they're bartering for information. And by the end of it, Dresden is like, I'm such an idiot. I got conned. I almost gave up my full name. Like he totally got taken by this demon, and it's like was a stiff reminder to him that it's a demon. I don't have control over it. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it is. And I'm trying to remember what exactly the information he gave Harry.
It was stuff he basically already knew about the McFinn and the Northwest Passage, I thought.
Okay.
And
it was.
It was.
I don't think he knew that. He didn't know that at the time. He didn't know that Marcone was involved with this Northwest Passage business or whatever, and the McFinn, and that there was this intersection between the two. He didn't know. He didn't know a bunch of stuff, actually. I'd have to listen to it again.
Yeah, I guess
the only thing he knew was the Northwest Passage, because he had just got done talking with Marconi, and Marconi told him to investigate the Northwest Passage project, and he told him to kind of lead him to McFinn.
Yeah, because whoever was first in line got murdered, and then Marconi got interest in it. So now Marconi is worried he's going to get murdered.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Marconi got interested in it because in that first murder at the beginning of the book was one of Marconi's guys, if I remember right.
That's correct.
Yeah, again. So, yeah, not safe to be around.
But then we go into another crime scene.
Right. Which
one was Kim.
Right. Okay. I got them mixed up then. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So Kim Delaney's shredded body. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, because this one was at McFinn's place.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then we get.
And he finds this. Is this he goes to Kim's place. What is that before he gets? Does he
This
get
is
locked
before
up?
he gets arrested. Yeah.
Yeah, before he gets arrested. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
because
gets
Tara
arrested
sneaks in
after.
and free, yeah, so
Because
well,
Murphy arrests him at
so
that
Murphy
time.
arrests him for this is where I got a little annoyed with her because she wouldn't let
Mhm.
Harry talk at all. She just arrested him. But
Yeah.
she arrests him and then Tara frees him.
Yeah, she
And
arrests
they-
him at McFinn's house, right? Like because Kim gets
Yes.
Right.
So she
Yeah.
had the drawing that Harry did for her,
Yeah,
but wouldn't give
yeah.
her the information on.
Yeah. And then so let's see. So Tara frees him. They get away. He calls Susan and bribes Susan with a story to get him out of
yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So let's see here. Then is that so? With ignoring Murphy arrests and jails McFinn. Oh, that's right. Okay, so they all split up, right? And she caught McFinn. Dresden and Tara got away,
Yes.
right? So
and
now
he got shot. So
and he
this
got-
is the first of the major injuries that he I don't know how he's fucking walking after this book at all. I mean, halfway even through.
Well,
this.
he's not.
But
That's another reason why it's good that he always gives time for Dresden to recover. Like there's never just like bang, like Dresden gets shot and then Dresden's okay. It's like Dresden gets shot and then there's 6 months.
yeah,
right. Well, but here it's just like, but it's one thing after another, and yeah, he in between books he gives him time, but he makes sure that in a handful of these books that I've read so far, Dresden is just run absolutely ragged to the bone.
That's the other potion, isn't it? He gets rest. Doesn't he do rest in a bottle? Because he keeps talking about how he wants to sleep.
Oh
And
yeah.
he chugs the
Use him a meth drink. Yep.
yeah, he drinks the like instant regeneration, like the stamina potion.
Yeah. The one that makes you think that you're okay.
So he had the drab potion and the reserves potion or whatever. Yeah. So
this must have been Jim. Jim must have been going through his amphetamine stage.
Between the Hexen Wolves and Harry's potion. Yeah. So let's see here. Okay, so McFinn ends up incarcerated, and they know that the full moon is coming, so the ticking clock starts. Because they have to get now. Tara and him are on mission to
hang on. Before we've got to pull up, right? Because when McFinn gets arrested, like Harry goes to find him or whatever with Tara, whatnot, and then Murphy follows and she finds McFinn and arrests him.
Right.
Once McFinn gets like arrested and taken to the precinct, like Harry knows, like as soon as he knows that there's a full moon coming and that everybody in that police station is gonna die, and he knows this, and he's like, I have to go and do something.
Yeah.
And Tara's like they already want to arrest you. You've got handcuffs. You've literally got broken handcuffs on your hand from when Murphy arrested you, right?
Yeah.
And you left. This already happened. He's already like a delinquent from the law. He's like, I've got to go to the police station to stop the werewolf from killing everybody because Murphy.
Yeah.
Because Murphy. Yep. Right from here. Book 2. We're book 2, right?
Yep.
It's great. It's great character. Nobody would do this in their right fucking mind, right? Like nobody.
No
one would do this. Harry Dresden.
Just Harry.
And
Harry,
so that's when they go back to Harry's house so he can get the potions.
Yep.
So he's got to sneak in. So that's when Tara gets all nudie and dances for the police.
Yep.
And then he sneaks in,
drinks the drab potion, and it works too good. That was the great. That was about. So he's able to sneak past everybody. He sneaks past the guard, and then he sees that he's just not going to make it to McFinn, and he's trying to warn the guard, and the drab potion is working too good. The guard is
good.
Like,
he can't get his attention.
Okay. He's like, it's okay, go clean. He's like, dude, you're all about to die. He's like, that's fine, man. It's all good. Like, weren't you on vacation or something? It's just like, like, why are you here so early, man? It's like, dude, you're gonna die, and then all hell breaks loose. All hell breaks
Well,
loose.
and I think the lead up into this is like when he's on his way to the jail portion of the station, he walks by Murphy's office. She's yelling at Carmichael because he got a report that Harry was there, but they didn't catch him. And then she says, "Oh, great! So now, what are you going to tell me, that he's going to come to the police station and we're not going to see him until until after he gets here?" And I'm just like, that's freaking hilarious.
Yeah,
this is how you write humor, Sanderson.
Yeah, correct.
Poor
Also-
Carmichael. Poor Carmichael. Sorry, go ahead.
Carmichael gets murked by the werewolf, by the loop guru.
He was just
So,
coming around to Harry too.
Just
But
coming
he-
around.
Fucking heroic death.
Yep.
Great death, fantastic
Yeah.
death. That's how you do death scenes. And
Yeah.
you get we get Rudolph here too, mate. Like we get Harry handed off as he's like, what, Murphy tries to arrest him again. Does she handcuff him again, or
Yeah.
she
arrests him, sticks him in her office.
Yeah.
And has the rookie guard him.
Yeah, that's part of
And
the
so
problem.
manipulates the rookie.
Yeah, you get Rudolph, and he ends up letting him, like, finally lets him go.
It's
I need
so
a teddy bear.
it's so interesting seeing Rudolph here too, right? Like in his infancy, like this is the first time we see Rudolph. We see him later on,
Yeah.
and it's different. It's very interesting seeing like Rudolph in this mode right now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's very interesting.
So this is where McFinn just basically destroys the police station and
Murks the whole place.
kills almost everything. Murphy has read. You find out Murphy has read his report, and
That's because we forgot to mention this. Harry, we should mention which she employs Harry for his consultancy because she's like, okay, there's werewolves. I don't understand it, but there's all right. It looks like fucking werewolves. So what can you tell me about werewolves? We can't. All right. And so Harry gives her this report, and you're right, Steve. She's obviously read it. We find this out. Continue.
Yep. So we find out because she has made bullets for her gun out of silver that is inherited, since that's the only way to stop a loot guru. So she's read Harry's report, which still, even though she's suspicious of him, still obviously there's a level of trust because she trusts his information. So she unloads a few into the loot guru. It's not enough.
22.
Carmichael ends up sacrificing himself to save Murphy with his guts hanging out. How do you oh my god, his guts are hanging out and he still does a shoulder block into the werewolf to save Murphy. Is like,
dude,
man,
the werewolf is like jumping on Murphy. Harry's out of action. The werewolf is jumping on Murphy. Carmichael launches himself onto the back of a fucking werewolf. And the loop guru, the way that it's described by Butcher, is like the werewolf to end all werewolves.
Yeah,
it's not just
crazy. Yeah.
It's not just like a Jacob from Twilight. It's like 5 Jacobs from Twilight.
Yeah,
on the screen, right?
Freaking
it's like the Hulk
crazy
but
scary.
Harry. The Hulk but Harry. Yeah.
Would have destroyed Edward in a second.
Yeah.
Sort of
He's the reason why you don't go to the police station.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Well, and the other thing I don't want to brush off though is when she shoots the werewolf, it's because he's charging at Harry, and Harry's just like, I'm watching my death come on, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
And then she all of a sudden appears in between, shoots McFinn, and then he's still charging, and then Carmichael comes in. So I mean, Murphy's saving his life. He's there to save hers. You know, these people are ride and die for each other, even though they are at odds at this point in the story with one another. And it sets up what happens in later books between these two.
Yeah.
Like the Frodo-Sam relationship between these two is freaking great.
It's so good. It's ridiculous. And like Carmichael cops it, and Murphy just breaks or whatever at this. Harry ends up like doing some magic shit, right? Doesn't he? And like he fires the loop guru out the fucking.
He Fozari's him or something and just fire.
Yeah,
I think fire. I think he lost.
Fozari! Is
Yeah,
this the first time we? Is this the first time we get the proper James Masters?
Fozari! It wasn't. It still wasn't.
Almost.
It was a little bit more oomph, but not quite the Fozari. No, not quite there. It was a step up, not quite.
I can't wait till we get in this reread. I can't wait till we get to the stage where Masters is like fully mastered his like magic spells and
he wasn't quite there. You could tell there was a little bit more oomph in it this time. It was close. There was one towards the end that was like, "Ooh, we're close now," like toward the climax, but not quite.
I like that too. Right? Like the progression of like Masters' spell delivery. It kind of like lines up with like Harry's delivery of the spells as well.
Yeah, he's getting better, right? I mean, he's still
getting better.
Yeah, he's not a good conjurer, so. So he gets set fire, and then McFinn is gone for till the end, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And Harry
out to the bush.
Yeah. Yeah, and Harry exhausts his magic for almost the rest of the book for the most part. In that last blast that he sends him out, but then he does another spell that protects all the bystanders in the Loop Guru's path as McFinn escapes, right? So there's a little small section in there where he casts this spell that basically like shades everybody away from the McFinn's murderous rage.
Is that what he does with the doll or whatever with the?
I think so. If I'm remembering this right, it's classic Dresden, where he's like, okay, this thing's going to get out, but he has the forethought of once he gets out, we can't just let him sit there and rampage the streets of Chicago, and so he casts this spell, and that completely drains his warehouse of magic capabilities. I mean, and we don't really see him use a whole lot of magic. We see him fail a couple times trying to use magic, but he's pretty much out for the rest of the book. I mean, his mana is 0.
Yeah. We see him fail a fair bit, like the blinding white light that it describes like behind his eyes when he tries to, from this point, like there's a few occasions where he tries to do something and it just like cooks his head flat out. He can't do
it. And this is what I love about how Butcher writes Dresden is that he sits there and he puts out these things that you're like, well, how in the hell is Harry going to get around this? And he gets around it, but he does show that there's consequence to the good use that Harry tries to put out there. That you can use all the things you can for good, but it's not like it doesn't come at a cost.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a point here where Susan's basically babying him to make him like feel good, right? Feel like he's doing like it's not everything's not bad, right? So Susan, got to give Susan points for getting our boy back in the game, right? So
she gets huge kudos in this book. Susan, sort of like not as probably not as like front of center or like front of mind as she is in book 1, I reckon, in this book. Although that could be wrong too.
I don't know. I feel like she's in this book a little bit more. I mean, she's driving around and like,
she probably is.
Their relationship is building. She's afraid of falling in love with him and all that shit.
Yeah, she probably is, but she feels less consequential to me.
Well, that's what she said straight. She said straight up, I can't. I don't think I should fall in love with you. I think is the exact line or something like that.
She's a tremendous support foil for him in this book. That's really kind of what her role is in this story.
She patches him up. Is this after the street wolves capture him again, and he's got to jump out of the car,
dude?
That's when she gets him and patches him up, right?
Yep.
Who kills? Yeah. I for some reason, is it Harry that takes care of Parker or are they just gone?
No, they're at the end. They're at the end for it. They're
lycanthropes. They show. Okay, yeah.
They're
Parker's there at the end, in the pit, Like
when
he said, how does he get rid of
when-
Parker?
I think
well,
doesn't McFinn eat him?
Maybe
It could be. I don't remember if I'm being.
I can't. I can't
The whole
remember.
Parker group, I completely just.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They just after that one scene.
Parker got taken care of by the FBI. And
Oh,
all
okay.
their
The Wolves get him. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. They did. Yep. They ended up having a wolf fight. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
So
did.
I mean, so yeah. So okay. So he leaves to track down McFinn. The street wolves capture him. They're taking him in a car to go fucking kill him, or to
And he
hold
gets
him to a cone,
and
and
he
he
gets-
jumps the fuck out of the car.
He gets
Yeah.
And
tortured.
Caesar picks him up. It's like
Before that, but hang on. Before that, Harry
Yeah.
gets like fucking proper tortured. Right?
Oh yeah. That's true
Need-
too.
we
Yeah,
gotta
with
mention
Parker
this,
and Flatnose.
they beat the absolute bejesus out of him, and we got to mention that because like
Yeah.
Butcher doesn't protect he doesn't protect Harry from like the consequences of sticking his nose into the underworld, and that's really what this is. Like Parker's relationship with this book is the mafia style Marcone world, the
Well,
underworld, like the
It's
proper
also
underworld.
it's also important because he like it just shows the level of just not pain is the word, but damage that he's taken, and it makes those moments with Susan that much more meaningful. That she sees that he's still got a job to do, but he needs to know what he's fighting for, sort of thing, right? He needs to feel like that there's good in the world because he's had to deal with such shit, right? And it
Yeah.
just makes those scenes all that much meaningful between him and her. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Well, and after they had after Parker captures them and they go through that torture, Harry's sitting there antagonizing the shit out of him the entire
Yeah.
time.
Laughing his ass
It's like the
Just
stones
some
on
wisecracks,
Harry.
yeah.
The stones that Harry has is just he could give two shits about anything. And he's just like,
Yeah,
well, my
crazy.
best wish, my best hope is me being mouthy to these guys and getting them all crazy. And Marcone shows up, and and then all of a
Yes.
sudden, then the FBI shows up, and it's the FBI versus the Street Wolves, and they're
And
kind of
that's-
picking each other off. And that's where
Yep.
Parker dies, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's not. I don't think he dies there because he's there at the end. But that's where the alphas come. That's where the alphas come to save Harry, right? Like that's when Harry
Right.
gets away from that confrontation between the FBI dogs.
That's
And,
when we learn the alphas are good guys. I think.
Yeah, correct. Because they dig through the wall and Harry like bashes down on someone's paw. I think might be terrors.
Yeah,
And they drag-
that's right. That's right. You're absolutely
they
right.
drag-
And
They
that's
drag him
what
into
we
the
find out,
alley.
that they're actually good guys. Terror's
Yeah.
been trading to
Oh,
do
no.
evil things. No,
Parker bites it here, and
He might. Yeah, he
does
might.
he? Okay.
he doesn't make it to the end fight. So
I
what
just-
happens is the FBI ends up showing up. There's a big old firefight,
Oh, that's right.
and Harry hides away, and then Tara's trying to dig him out from the
Dig him
outside
out
of the
from-
building.
Yeah.
And it take
It
she
does
was like,
eventually do
"What
that.
took you so
But-
long or something, right?
And Parker ends up being killed by Denton. And then what ends up happening is, as he's escaping, as he tunnels back out through the hole that Tara starts, and Tara's fighting with the alphas against the FBI and the street wolf and the
Yeah,
remainder of
so
the street
They
wolves.
take a couple of
There's
wounded.
right, and then all of a sudden Harris ends up tackling Harry,
And
and
he
then
gets the belt.
Harry's about to get eaten by Harris, and then Harry just fucking reaches down and rips his
Needs-
belt off,
That's right.
and then
Which is important.
keeps his
because he
belt,
needs the
and then tells Harris, "Tell Denton I'm gonna meet him at Marcone's," and then leaves.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very important because he needs that belt, right? Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
that belt later.
And Harris is freaking furious. He's missing his needle.
It's
So
enough, yeah.
he's just it fucks him up the rest of the way.
It really does, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I forgot about all that. Well, I didn't forget. Well, yeah. So that chunk.
Well, it's just
And
every
the
event,
whole
man.
Parker stuff still just like I don't know
Yeah.
why I lose it, but
It's because it's probably not super relevant. Like if you took, imagine if you could probably take out the Parker stuff. I'm not sure that it would change the book.
Well,
too
I
much.
mean, it's an important group of scenes because it gets him the belt, and it gets it shows you what side the
You could-
Alphas are on. But I guess it could have been done a different way
you
because
totally do that a different way. Yeah.
yeah. So
it's chaotic, is what it
it was
is.
just another group of werewolves to keep track of, and my brain just couldn't seem to compute it for some reason. At least not well. So I always, kept getting mixed up which side Parker's group was in, but they're gone now, so that's okay. So
yeah, and so they go back to Georgia's parents' house,
right?
I think it was, and then
Yes, because they're away in Italy. They've gone on an Italy jump.
Yep.
So they kind of rest up a little bit, heal up. Harry gets some loving from Susan. Also, a nice brand new leather duster.
Yep.
And,
Pretty rude of Harry to just go banging Susan all the way through.
Susan bangs him, all right.
He's never been there before.
No,
all right.
But this is what I appreciate about that scene, because I'm not one for
sexy
graphic type of I don't need that.
I don't need that either.
I prefer personally a fade to black kind of thing.
I do too.
And
well, this was very
this
was very restrained.
It was. It wasn't fade to black, but it wasn't sitting there and getting very descriptive at all. You're just kind of like
Harry tweaking her nipples or anything like that. Like
right.
That comes later.
Oh yeah.
Harry didn't put on the belt and take her from.
Yeah. Harry didn't put a veil on and act like Matt Guth. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
It
was.
Sorry.
But it wasn't graphic or anything. It was actually appropriate-ish.
Yeah. It was very restrained, and it wasn't like you could tell it was important. I think by the way it was described, the importance of it, the connection that is now permanently
the gravity
between Susan and Harry are now forever connected at this point.
Yeah,
it means something.
It builds their relationship, and then they get done, and they're about to leave, and she says, "All right, well, I guess I got to get my story with you guys, so let's go."
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. That is the moment, right? Is that not the moment that, or was it later that created the other thing in later books between Susan and Harry?
No, that's the moment.
That is the moment, right?
Hang on, Nathan might not know that.
That's why I said the moment. I don't know if he's there yet.
It's an important moment. So yeah, they get
that is the moment, I think. So it leads to important stuff later. We'll say.
No, I'm not aware of what this moment is yet.
Okay,
it is the moment, but I don't know what it is.
I'm glad we're referring to it as the moment. So we'll continue to refer to it as the moment. So we're moving on. So we're now set up for our final confrontation.
And this
Susan, of course, Susan, after doing Harry's like, the fuck you're leaving me behind, and it's like, Susan Rodriguez, you're the best.
She is, man.
She bottle you up and sell you, Susan Rodriguez. I love Susan Rodriguez. She's my number one. I know everybody says that
number one.
Laura Wraith is number one, but I mean,
we'll do the scale later. We'll come back to it. There's so many options.
Laura Wraith cheats, man. Come on.
She does not. I'll hear no dispersions against Laura Wraith, mate.
Hey man, it's not that far off. We're talking about like
as much as I love Susan, I'm a Murphy guy. So
oh my god, we're all split here.
We're all Murphy guys.
Yeah. Little pick sweep cheerleader, huh? There you go.
Yep. Yeah, I like myself.
I don't know ladies. Yeah, exactly. So we're set up for our final confrontation, which was very. So I enjoyed the final confrontation quite a bit. I'm still trying to figure out how the pit thing worked a little bit. So maybe you guys could, because I don't understand how. We'll get there in a second. But Marconi is hanging from a rope from a tree, but he's able to knock a rope down into the pit for them to get out while he's still hanging up there.
So there's a platform. There's some kind of a platform, and there's like ropes connected to the platform out to the sides of the pit. And Marconi I'm not sure whether he's like underneath, like he's through the platform or something. I'm not sure how this works exactly.
I just
Right.
couldn't picture it, right? I
Yeah.
couldn't
I
put it in my head.
I got the idea that it was kind of like a gallows that was constructed over the pit.
Because the way it's described
I thought
when
it was
he
just
gets
the
out
hook,
is
like a missed hook.
he's hang. Yeah, that's. I thought he was just hanging over there as like
Oh.
bait for McFinn.
He is. He
Right.
is hanging like
Right, so he's hanging there,
yeah.
but I don't understand how he gets the knife out. It cuts a rope, and that leads to a rope dropping for them to climb out, but he's still hanging there.
Yeah. So there's a platform near where Marconi is. And so he cuts some kind of a rope that's holding the platform to the side. There must be multiple ropes doing this because otherwise it would have crashed.
Yeah,
And that rope is like dropped down, which is allowed.
So I just had trouble, like, I don't know. My brain was not computing how it was working. It's not a big deal, but like, so I just
No.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point because like I'm not sure why Marconi couldn't have like got himself up on the platform by cutting.
Why did he cut his? I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just I don't know. It's not a huge deal because obviously he knows how that structure is supposed to look. I just
He'd love to ask Butcher. I'd love to have a.
I'm interested.
How that.
I'm thinking maybe if I get a look at the graphic novel page, that maybe, or the comic page, that maybe it'll give me.
Is there a graphic novel of this? Is there a graphic novel of this book?
There's a ton of comics, bro.
Of what?
Yeah. All of them. Like I think,
did not know that.
I just looked it up on eBay. 199 for like 40 comics or something.
Whoa,
I have $199. I don't know if I can do that, but
and to be fair, I mean the last this whole scene is basically like 6-7 chapters. And it is busy as shit because there's
great.
FBI's, the Alphas, Marconi's men, Dresden, Tara.
Well, it's sort of
and Dresden sets this up right because he's like, I know that Denton is gonna fucking go and do this bullshit at Marconi's place, right? I know this. I know this. So I'll meet him there for the fight. Whatever.
So they set up the fight. Dresden's like, I'm your fucking alpha now. Kneel before me, bitch dogs, if you want to come. And they're all like, okay.
Well, originally he says no, right? Like
he says no, and they're like, no, we're coming. It's like, all right, I'm in charge.
Billy sits him down and says, hey, listen, man, this is going to be fucking wild. Are you sure you don't need some help? And Dresden's like, actually, maybe I do. I'm not sure. Maybe I do.
So of course that gets all the alphas. So which of course, and Tara, and then this is what I love about the ending of this, like the ending scene. It immediately is fucked. Immediately, the plan is
totally
immediately, like they don't even get the plan started. They get to the wall to go into the yard of McCone's mansion. Right from the plan is fucked. So they go over. So the alphas go over the wall. Harry's got to go around another way. Susan's in the getaway car, basically. Yep. By the time Harry gets in, he's looking around the yard, going, "Where the fuck are the alphas? What's that giant pile of shit there? Oh crap! And then he sees Billy trying to run across the yard, and he hears thwomp, and down he goes, right? And then he realizes, oh shit, every alpha is down. This is not good. And then from there, he hears. He's just that dude. The tension in that scene was so good. He's just standing. He's just sitting in the forest, looking right at Marconi and Denton and the alphas, and listening to them talk. And this is where Dresden finds out that Denton has convinced Marconi that he's protecting him, when we all know the whole reason that Denton is doing all this is because he wants to kill Marconi more than anything. Right. Marconi is this kingpin of Chicago, and Denton they've said,
which is what
we never talked about that too. The whole reason they get the belts is because they're using it for the greater good, when in fact they're actually the worst. They're actually doing a ton of bad shit to getting some of the bad guys. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's right, man.
Denton's come up with this brilliant plan, quite frankly, to convince Marconi that the FBI is out to get you, or is not out to. The FBI, we're going to protect you from crazy Dresden and this fucking wolf. and puts him right fucking next to him, and it's a brilliant fucking plan, if not for Dresden. And it also I enjoyed the fact that Johnny Marconi is one of those guys that you're like, how does he always know everything?
Just because the audiobook says Marconi at this point doesn't mean you need to, Steve. It's Marcone. We know this for the next 15 books. It's Marcone. So
okay,
Marcone.
So John Marcone, yeah. So well, I always said Marcone, so we'll go back to it. I just said Marconi because of the book. You're right.
Fuck the book. Wrong. He knows he's wrong because he changes, right? So it's definitely Marcone.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, what was I saying? Oh, that because John Marcone is always knows everything. He pays for it. He knows, he always is. That's part of the brilliance and the power of his character. He knows everything, so he plans. He's a great planner, and so he has plans on top of plans because he knows what's happening. And it's very interesting to have Harry in the forest, looking straight at him as John is being made a fool because his killers are standing right next to him. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
It is.
And then this is basically where he baits them out to the trees, right?
Yeah, this is where the script gets flipped, right? And Denton takes Marconi captive essentially, and then starts to hunt Dresden at the end.
Well,
of the
is
day.
that wait? No. First, don't they catch Dresden first?
No.
No. Okay.
He has to hunt. That's to find him. That's to hunt.
Harry kind of pulls back in the woods.
Yeah.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he finds Denton right next to him, basically holds him hostage and forces everybody out.
Right.
Yeah. And then Murphy is there as well, who didn't do what she was supposed to do. Right.
Yep. Of course.
Classic. And Harry is hang on, what exactly happens here? She Harry, because we've got the what is it?
So there's the part before they all end up in the pit, and then there's the part after they end up in the pit. So
true. So I've jumped ahead here. Yeah, correct. So go back to the pit.
So, So he calls Denton out. He gets dented. He's holding his gun to Denton, telling the street wolves to give up their belts. Then one of them pulls Murphy out and says, "I'll kill her." It threatens to kill Murphy, and he gives himself up, and they end up in the pit with Marcone hanging as bait for McFinn. So that's how they end up in the pit, and the Hexables are back with their belts. Is that correct?
That's correct. And even still now, Murphy is still I don't fucking trust you.
Now,
whatever.
I did find so now the thing that I wasn't sure that I bought, but maybe the belt isn't that revealing. That they threw Harry down with the belt on. You good, Easton?
With the
so
belt
they
on.
throw him in because I would have thought Harris was fiending for that belt at this point, and
he may not know though. We don't know we don't know how.
Well, it's not that big a deal, but they I would have thought that Harris would be strangling him, going, "Where's my belt? Where's my fucking belt?" Right?
True.
At some point, they actually even mention they're he's starting to inch towards it, and Denton has to pull him back and say, "We'll get your belt back. Shut the fuck up." So I would have thought it may, but I guess it's fair to assume that why would he be so stupid to bring the belt with him?
Right.
Maybe. So they just assumed that which is fair enough, especially since they're good night.
Well, they know what it can do,
right?
More so anyway.
So this is where then John gets to his belt knife, which that was a fun little caveat too.
Well, then that's the thing. Then McFinn turns up.
Right.
Denton and that lash off. They lash off. They piss off to the
because they're more than happy to let McFinn kill everything and then mop up. Yep.
That's their plan. As per everything else that we've seen in this book is to let McFinn do his damage to take the fall for what they've been going to do. And so it's crazy. McFinn turns up and starts prowling around the pit. And Marconi has his knife, cuts the rope that drops down. The rope that's connected to the platform, which must be above him. I'm not sure how this really
So
works.
so this is the part that was confusing to me is how that all worked. He cuts a rope and it manages to lower a rope to Dresden, but not him. So I
It
don't
must
know.
have been one of the ropes that was connecting the platform to the edge of the pit. So there is a platform.
Yeah,
So
so
he must.
yeah, I still would love to see an image of
Yeah,
how it worked, but
yeah,
you know, it's all good. I'm not
yeah.
gonna let it hurt anything. Um,
We get
uh,
the rope down the bottom of the pit anyway, and then
right.
they're like they're thinking so that everybody in the bottom of this pit right now has seen this werewolf eat somebody at some point in time, and they're sitting in the bottom of a pit. I'm not sure. It must be a fair way down, but like so whatever. Like let's say it's 20 foot, whatever it is. It's a fair way down in the bottom of a pit, which Marcone set there originally. He uses this for what did he say? I think he said he uses this for some of his mafia activities where you can't hear because of the trees outside. There's a he
Yeah.
actually explains this. Butcher explains this. There's
Yeah.
like the really thick trees that like stop the sounds. Yeah, and so like so it's really well set up. And you've got these people in the bottom of the pit, and they've all seen this werewolf eat somebody at some point in time. That's just like prowling around the outside of the pit, and it's so visceral. And like when you're reading it, you're just like, I don't want to get eaten by a fucking werewolf. This sounds really, really bad. Like I'm not a fan of this at all. I don't want any part of this at all. And Marcone cuts one of the ropes, the supports from the platform to the outside that's holding the platform, which like somehow drops down to the people. As Steve said, we won't think about it too much because it doesn't actually make sense. Drops down to drops down to the bottom, and then Harry. Does he have a moment with Murphy where he's like, only I can do this, right? Like only I can do this. There's no one else but me. No one else can stop this. I don't know if I can, but like I know that you can't. And so Harry starts his trek up the side of the pit with the rope that Marcone has chopped down. Marcone, I said it myself. Marcone has chopped down to drop down to everyone. And so we get this like right from here from book 2, and it is interesting knowing how it plays out for the rest of the bloody 500,000 books. Right from here, we get this like this interplay between like Murphy, the embodiment of the authorities, Harry, the embodiment of the outside the authorities that helps the authorities without them knowing it, and Marcone the mafia, helping each other to like face some kind of a critical threat. And it's like, what's that? Is this the book?
This is the book.
comic?
This is the So there's your platform. So I guess he cut one of these ropes over here, maybe. I guess if that's what we're going with. Marcone's got abs of steel, though. I'm not.
Super abs of steel, man.
It's okay. We can buy it. We can buy it.
We can't. We can forget it. I think. I don't think we can buy it.
I don't know.
Right.
We can look past it.
And it was as he's climbing up, I think that's when the Luguru shows up. And then it's looking at Marcone, and then it looks down at Harry, and Harry's like, "Oh shit, he remembers me."
And he falls down, right? Like Harry falls down some steps at that point, and then he has to climb back up. The whole Loop Guru, if the Loop Guru had the intelligence that the book says that it has, it would have just stood at the section where the rope was connected to the main and eaten him when it came over the edge.
It stalled quite a bit and did nothing, which was like
a
little bit weird, right? It's like he was just like going around in circles. It was just like, why? Yeah. So, you know,
why would he do that? Considering everything else that he's done so far has been like really intelligent, and we've made a point of saying that the Loop Guru is the OG werewolf that's like super smart and super big and super like ferocious. Yeah. So like, why would it just walk around the side of a pit? I don't know.
Right.
Just pretend.
But I think the fact that it is guided by more emotion, even though it's an intelligent wolf, the fact that it's guided by the intense emotion, I think covers that. Okay. Where it's gonna go fiend over. Hey, let me think this through.
Maybe, and it's just been bashed up by Harry in the cop shop, so maybe there's a bit of that, I guess. Yep. That's
You know,
legit.
so I mean I think I think Butcher definitely earns at least a bit of leeway with that
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of bit of the storytelling.
100%.
You know,
Yeah, I
and
think he always earns everything. There's nothing that Butcher doesn't earn. Out of all the criticisms
right?
you can have of this book, you can't say that he doesn't earn the stuff that he puts in it. He earns all of it,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Like I would guess this is actually would be where I would be able to define as we go through this discussion. The criticism that I have of this book is when it gets to certain things, the clarity of the description. Maybe it's not the pacing for me, but it's the clarity of things in the telling of it that lacks a bit for me to be able to go from bit to bit in the action
Sure.
sequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially this ending action sequence, because I remember being confused when I first read it, and I remember listening to it this time around that I'm like, okay, I'm still not quite following the pit scene when he gets out of the pit and then goes
Well,
after
he run-
Denton. It's
There's a few of them. There's a few of the scenes like that. The pit one, yeah.
he runs around the bush for once Harry gets out of the pit, he then goes on a guerrilla mission through the bush to try and take down the Hexen Wolves first, right? Because he identifies that they are the threat, or the bigger threat. Which I'm not sure is correct, but anyway, he goes that way. and you're right, Nathan. Like it's something that Butcher gets better at, I think, as time goes on. Like with his clarity on these scenes, on these fight scenes, he gets so much better at them as he goes. But here he's trying to find his way, and it's a little bit messy.
Yeah, I think that's where it hits. But either way, like he goes through and he meets up with Denton, and how he ends up dealing with Denton. Like he doesn't end up dealing the final blow with Denton and his crew. Like they're all killing each other, if I remember this right. Except for Denton. Denton he thinks is killed by Karen, but and then he goes around to deal with McFinn after that, and gets that whole thing started at the very end of the fight. But then again, McFinn's charging again. Or no, he knocks he knocks down McFinn, and then Karen, as he is going to deal with, he's loading up one last, I think, spell, and he's going to aim it at McFinn, and then Karen steps in between.
He puts together
amulet.
He puts together that the amulet is silver. And inherited, and he starts twirling it and putting Will into it to sort of launch it like a bullet.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're in Harry's head, right? So Harry thinks that this is what's happening, and Murphy is there. Murphy is telling him to stop.
Yep.
Right.
Duck.
And to duck, and Murphy is between. But is she between him and the Luke?
So they're both being attacked from behind, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like Harry sees
and neither of them know they're being attacked.
So Harry sees the Lucaroo behind Murphy, and Murphy sees Denton coming to try and smash Harry, and they basically save each other.
Which is beautiful. It's is there so everybody talks about, and we talk about this because we all love the Wheel of Time. We talk about the unreliable narrator, thing, factor in literature, in fantasy literature. Is there ever any better example of unreliable narrator than this scene in particular? I'm not sure that there is. Yeah, it's literally perfect. It catches all of the things that can go wrong with that, and make it engaging as a literary device, in one scene, which is a huge tick to Butcher. Well done, Jim. Good work.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Because afterwards he's like he looks at Murphy after he comes to, and he says, "You shot me." She's like, "What?"
Yeah, then she's just
you fucking idiots.
She's
What do
like,
you
you
mean?
thought I tried to kill you? What the fuck is wrong with you, Harry? Denton tried to
Mhm.
smash your brains out.
Yeah, which is great, right? Which is great because like we've been reading this book from Harry's perspective the whole time, and so when we get to that moment, we're totally on board with Harry, right? Like we know we're like that's totally fair enough. She would try and shoot him. She's like she doesn't actually like him. She's like we're in Harry's head. So it's so good, and she's like, "You
Yeah.
fucking dickhead! Someone was trying to kill you. I was telling you to get down, you idiot!" It's the best, mate. It's so
It was
good.
great. It was great. So
It
so
is.
they save the day in each other, and then we get the aftermath sequence. Susan's famous as fuck, and the
Yeah, because of
alphas.
her story, right?
They go to he's going and hanging out with the alphas. He's become basically their new alpha. So they play games and stuff, and they're ready to go on a holy crusade with him. And Tara fucks back off to wherever she came from, and McFinn is dead, unfortunately.
And did we touch on this, or did I zone out? Did we touch on the fact that Harry puts on the belt and goes ham?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, we
and then Susan sees him with the belt on.
Yeah,
and then so I mean, in this aftermath, he's like, "I gave Susan space. I didn't talk to her for a while.
Yeah,
I didn't return her calls."
So we skipped over that. I'm not sure. Harry puts on one of the Hexawolf belts, and he goes fucking ballistic. He just like he goes alpha Chad is like, I am the greatest fucking person ever made. These people are doesn't he go start he rips up the Denton's crew in wolf form, doesn't he?
I think
he eats that
kills
Ben. Eats Ben. He eats her fucking. He eats that Ben bitch, which is fantastic. God bless.
Yeah, because he's got blood on his. He gets blood in his mouth. He's just like, oh, that's good shit.
It's the first time that we see this, but we see the ramifications, like the decisions that Harry makes for the right reason. Like if he hadn't done this, then everything would have turned out very differently, right? Like if he had not done this, if he hadn't put the belt on, then nothing else after the fact would have happened that did happen, right? Like
shit.
It wouldn't have happened. So like everybody would be dead. Fucking, do you know what I mean? Like everybody would be dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would have gotten away. Nothing would be the same. But Harry put that belt on, and as a result, Butcher doesn't hide you from the consequences of making a deal with the devil, right?
So,
you make a deal with the devil, and you pay the consequence. And he paid it here because he had to eat a bitch.
Yeah. Well, so this is where me actually writing notes helps out. Tara jumps in and saves Harry from McFinn in the pit and takes on McFinn. So that's what allows him to escape. He puts on the belt. When he touches the belt, then he comes in. He severs Ben's hamstring.
Right.
And so she's down for the count. He's about to take her on, but then Wilson jumps in and eats her and kills her instead, and then gets shot by one of the other agents.
But he ate
and then
someone.
That's when Harry goes in, and Harry goes out and hunts Denton. And then that he's about to succumb to all the will of the belt, and then that's when Susan says, "Harry."
Right. They have that crazy fight, and Harry rips him to shreds. Harry destroys him, by the way, which is interesting. Harry kicks the shit out of him, like he literally does in wolf form. Harry just takes that dude apart.
Yep,
takes him apart, mate.
It's merciless. It's fantastic how it's you really this is an element of a quick acting ring over Frodo type of thing where it just comes in and just overpowers.
Yeah,
with just unrelentless force, and even good guys like Harry are susceptible to it.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that can bring him out, and I love this part, the only thing that can bring him out is the love of a good woman.
Yep,
a good woman. Correct.
And then of course they have to burn the belts because he knows if they're left, he'll get he knows his limits too, right? That's also a good thing because he's like, if we don't get rid of these belts, I will put it back on.
Yep, he knows his temptations. Yep. which
knows he
becomes
likes,
important later
it's one of
on.
those, he knows he likes power and he's unapologetic about it, but he knows, he knows when to back off, right? So
Very,
yeah,
very much.
so yeah,
Yep.
so that's it. So still extremely good book.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every minute of it. I got through it really fast again. It did
Dude, the
take
last section, like just sitting here talking to it with you lads, right? Like just like that just improved my like ranking of this book like 1,000-fold because it was so good. Like
it ends really strong. It ends really, really strong. From the jail scene on, it fucking goes
it's
like
so
literally
good.
because I remember the first part, it was dragging a little bit, not too bad, like not dragging, and it was just slower than I remembered. And then you hit the jail cell, and you just like I remember it specifically because I finished it extremely quick once we got past that. It was just like I couldn't put it down. It was like we're running now, right?
Yep.
So I don't remember what I gave the last one. I think I give it 5 Michael Carpenters out of 10 just because we're voting on we're ranking on a Dresden scale.
Yeah, we each had different scales.
I'm not sure. We have different scales. Yeah, we do.
I think I said 5 Harry Carpenters. I'll have to. I should go back and look, but if we're doing if I did 5 Harry Carpenters or Michael Carpenters, I said Harry Carpenters. Michael Carpenters for Stormfront, I say 4.5. Michael Carpenters, just below Stormfront, I think.
Just below. That's fair.
Just below. I think. For me,
I think that's fair.
So, yeah, Michael.
Nathan, what do you got?
I'd probably go. I'd probably go again for Susan Rodriguez's, but I would out of this I would change a little bit for Susan Rodriguez's out of 3 wolf pelts.
Okay. Out of 3 wolf puffs.
Yeah, it makes no sense, and that's what I'm going with. This is like whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter.
Brilliant.
Actually makes more sense than you know. I give this. So I think I gave Stormfront. I think I gave it 7 Bob's romance novels out of 10.
Yes. It was something like that. So I'm leaving a lot of room for improvement. So that's
I give this 6 Bob's romance novels out of 10 because it's not as good as Stormfront, and I'll stand by that, and I'll debate that with anyone. I think Stormfront's a better book. It's better paced. It's better put together. This one's a little bit haphazard, but it does, like, the ending is like ridiculously good. Which made me changing this. Yeah. So I'll give this a 6 though compared to book 1, which was a 7. Bob's romance novels.
Beautiful. Again, don't forget, like we are shifting the scale because we're basing Dresden books on Dresden books. This isn't like a
Dresden scale.
Me saying 4.5 or 5. That's on a Dresden scale, leaving a lot of room for books like Battlegrounds.
Correct.
Where I have
books like changes 100 out of 10.
Yeah, so
I'm there in 2 books. I'm there in 2 books, man.
Yeah.
2 more, and I'm there.
Changes is like if I've got every romance novel in the world, ever, and like put them all in a pile, and it's still not even half as good as how good Changes is, mate.
Yeah, we gotta leave space for those absolute legend books. So.
Well, and here's the thing: like if we're sitting there contextualizing Harry within Harry, it's I've read 9 books, I think, out of the series so far. I have not been disappointed even in the slightest bit with one of them.
Yeah. That's 100% true. Yeah. I'll be honest, like Peace Talks for me was the slowest, but with purpose. So
I'm looking forward to rereading that, man.
Me too, because Peace Talks is Peace Talks is set up book for Battlegrounds because Peace Talks sets up Battlegrounds so good. It allows Battlegrounds to be what Battlegrounds is, in my opinion. But I'm looking forward to rereading it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that when this process, I think that when we get there, it's going to be amazing. I really think it's going to be much better than we thought.
So then, how I read that statement then, Steve, is Battleground Peace Talks is a damn good book, but Battlegrounds improves Peace Talks.
Yes, I think so because what Peace Talks does allows Battlegrounds to start from word one. Like that's
true.
What
He wrote this book in one book.
Yeah, Battlegrounds is his foot down all the way on the gas pedal from the very beginning. So, Peace Talks and they were written together, right? So you could tell, and they complement each other phenomenally, in my opinion.
It's one book, really, to be honest.
Yeah,
it really is. It's one book.
Yeah.
So. And as of now, 12 months is 92% complete. So,
sweet,
dude, of the next book, and it's due, isn't it? Due this year, right?
This year, I think so.
Yeah, it should be 2025. Mate, bring it on, bring it on. We'll get this done just in time. That's so good.
That'd be perfect. I hope so. That'd be great. So, all right. Well, any parting words before we're off for this discussion of Full Moon?
No. What's the next book? Is it Deadbeat?
Dude, I always forget the order.
If it's Deadbeat,
I got it right here.
What is it? Tell me it's Deadbeat.
It is Grave Peril.
Oh, Grave Peril.
Yeah, Deadbeat is number 7.
Yeah, I always lose track of the order. Yeah,
I do too.
It's Grave Peril, Summer Night, Death Mask, Blood Rites.
Is Grave Peril? Is Grave? Hang on, Steve. Just remind me. But is Grave Peril where we get I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm just going to say Tyrannosaurus Rex.
No, that's too early.
No, that one is I think that's Deadbeat.
That's Deadbeat, isn't it?
All right, it's Grave Peril. What? Give me a non-spoiler version of Grave Peril.
Grave Peril, I think, is when we get vampires, isn't it?
That makes sense.
I think so.
Is that the Red Court?
Yeah, because this is where we get Michael Carpenter.
Oh, I get. All right, that's it.
Oh man,
I remember.
Right? Yeah, this is where we get Michael Carpenter. I think this is our introduced to the vampire courts.
Let's go, baby.
Father Hill. Hold on, let me double check. Justine. Yeah, we get introduced to. Thomas. We meet Thomas. We meet Justine. Yep. Amarachius. Yes.
Amarachius.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, but the real. The consequential one with the vampires and Susan though isn't until Death Masks, if I remember right.
Yeah, this is basically, I think, if I remember right, this is almost Fallout from Beyond, partially Fallout from Bianca.
Yeah, mad.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah,
these are so damn good.
This is a big one. This is Grave Peril is a big one. This is where
this one.
I remember, man. I remember now.
Dude, major.
This is the book. I think classically, I think the third book is what pretty much cements anybody who's a fan of Dresden into the Dresden.
Well, look, you get major characters. You get Thomas, which I'm not going to say any more than that. You get Thomas Wraith. You get
right.
I think this is the first one where Murphy starts actually trusting Dresden a little bit more.
Murphy's not a bitch in this. That would be great.
Yep. And then you get Justine. You get introduced to the vampire courts,
you get multiple courts,
and you get Michael fucking Carpenter,
the best character
ever, right hand of God, wielder of Excalibur. Yes,
the best side character ever. There's never been a side character this good.
Like Mike, no.
He's huge.
He's the best. He's the best.
Miguel, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. We get along.
I'm gonna stay. Oh, mate, I'll tell you what. I can't wait to hear the Latin come through the. I'm gonna put it on the surround sound system in the lounge room. I'm gonna make the kids sit down in the lounge room and listen to Michael just start belting out that Latin. It's amazing. It's the best.
So good. So good. I'm ready for it. All right. Well, onward to Grave Peril. Sorry, I got stuck on Grave Peril next. Hopefully, probably not too long from now. So stay tuned and thank you for watching. And we'll see you soon for some more Dresden Files. Bye.